Hi, welcome back, and thanks for stopping by. Today, I'm going to share with you a little bit from the book Half Full, Your Perception Becomes Your Reality. And in earlier videos, I read from Chapter 1, which is Friday the 13th, happens to be the day I was born, and Chapter 2, Murphy's Law, happens to be my last name. And if you're familiar with Murphy's Law, it's if anything can go wrong, it will. So the whole point of this book is essentially to help anyone deal with what they might consider to be a victim consciousness, a woe is me consciousness. It could be something you worry about genetically. You know, my father had this disease or my mother has this condition, and that worries me. I'm afraid that I'm going to end up with the same thing. That fear and that consciousness, that victim consciousness, is very powerful and will in fact manifest the very thing that you're afraid of. So a shift in perception and a shift in belief can be your saving grace. Today I'm going to share a little passage with you from chapter 3, which is called the Terrible Twos, and then I'll make a few more comments. So the Terrible Twos. I don't really know where the phrase the terrible twos comes from. Perhaps my mother and I had something to do with it. My understanding is that it has been around for a long time and many parents can relate to it. I know mine could, particularly when one of them was driving home from church on a Sunday morning to find the other in the front yard in his underwear, shaving cream all over his face, frantically fishing me out of the bushes. I had just fallen from a second floor window. Apparently I was jumping on the bed with my siblings when I managed to bounce through the screen and out into the front yard. If anything can go wrong, it will at the worst possible moment. Murphy's Law. The good news is that I didn't kill myself, and I learned I couldn't fly. Even though I was only 2 years old, I remember this experience like it was yesterday. When you are in midair without a parachute, you learn quickly and you remember the moment. Some lessons do carry a lot of weight. I was raced to the hospital again. The only repair work necessary this time was the restitching of my right arm. Less than a week earlier, I had ripped open my bicep on a tree limb, requiring about 50 stitches. Friday the 13th, Murphy and Murphy's Law, what was I to think? We all make mistakes, and sometimes it may appear to be bad luck or karma, poor timing, or even someone else's fault. Surely we find blame around every corner. But finding blame is no different than viewing the glass as half empty. It is representative of a victim consciousness. It is a weaker, lower level energetic frequency that it draws more of the same to the victim. As long as we hold on to this level of thinking, we manifest more examples of victimhood into our lives. We become what we dwell on. We attract what we are vibrationally. If we believe we have nothing to do with our circumstances, we disempower ourselves, often without even knowing it. Most of this thinking is programmed at a subconscious level. So to move past blame, we must focus on forgiveness, one of the highest and most powerful frequencies we can reach. When we forgive others, regardless of the circumstances, we free ourselves. We transcend victim consciousness and elevate to a higher awareness. We wake up and vibrate at a whole different energy level. In forgiving others, we actually forgive ourselves. We let go of the fear-based, dualistic, right-wrong, ego thought system driving most human behavior, and we awaken to our true spiritual nature. The whole point of this chapter, and it goes on to speak more about this consciousness that we seem to adopt, this victim consciousness. The whole point of the chapter is to recognize that we can change the dial and tune in to a different frequency. And in that higher frequency, we attract and manifest much greater results. Had I gone through life, being born on Friday the 13th, with a name like Murphy as Murphy's Law, and 2 near-death experiences by the age of 2, I can't imagine what my life would be if I dwelled on those dark, dense, fearful thoughts and subconscious programming. I had to let that go. And I empathize with anybody who is struggling with the concept of bad luck or genetic challenges, or it's in my genes, or work issues, anything like that. The whole point of the book, Half Full, is to recognize that the glass is always half empty or half full, so to speak. It's one of the mysteries of life, a fork in the road at every decision we make. Which way do we go? All right? Do we choose positive or do we choose negative? Are we going to go through life cynical and negative and critical, attracting more of the same? Or are we going to find the silver linings, the blessings in disguise, and dwell on that? And then experience more blessings and more blessings and more blessings. So the whole idea here is to recognize that whatever your baggage is, whatever your history is, whether it's terrible twos, so to speak, or any metaphor that speaks to the same thing, learn to let it go and learn to see past it to the silver linings. That's my tip for today. All right? The twos don't have to be so terrible, and neither does the rest of life. I'll see you later. God bless.